Welcome to the GTHL Breakout Podcast. We are thrilled to have Rane Carnegie on with us, the grandson of the late Herb Carnegie. We'll definitely get into all the excitement of that very soon. But personally for Rane, he's a former junior hockey player, most notably as the captain of the Halifax Mooseheads. And then you spent a few seasons playing pro. You're currently a GTHL coach. So lots to add to the list of your resume for sure. Thanks so much for joining us today, Rane.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. It's a pleasure.
Before we get into all the excitement that's gone on in the last 24 hours, let's talk about you. Let's talk about your playing days, because we know that's a big start for your whole journey to get to this point. So we know that you started out in the Ontario Hockey League, Belleville Bulls, Plymouth Whalers, and then ended up playing in the QMJHL with Halifax. So for those who maybe don't know, let's talk a little bit about the start of your junior career moving forward.
Yeah, so, I was a GTHL alumni and played for the Marlies my draft year. And I think I heard a stat that Anthony Stewart, who was also a GTHL alumni, and I, a black hockey player, were the first and only two black hockey players drafted in the Ontario Hockey League in the first round. Lots of black hockey players have been, not lots, but there have been black hockey players that have been drafted high throughout. You have Akeem Aliu that comes to mind. You have just most recently Malcolm Spence, who just went second overall. But there's never been two of us. So that was a pretty special moment in our career, especially we grew up playing hockey with each other, with the North York Canadians, now the JRC. And then obviously you go to Belleville and you're playing with Matt Stajan and Jason Spezza and, great captain and Cody McCormick and Matt Coughlin and, the dog pound with David Silverstone and Will Paymont's son, Adam Paymont, and the list goes on and on. Mark Raincourt, one of my all-time favorites for sure. And then Plymouth, obviously, no longer. And so it's quite comical now that the two teams that I played for in the Ontario Hockey League no longer exist. So when I'm talking to, now that I'm coaching in the GTHL U15 with the Young Nationals, to share my story with my athletes, they're just like, you played in the OHL with who? Like, who's the kids these days, right? So, then I went over to the Q. My sister is an RCMP police officer out there. Was looking for a little bit of stability in my life, and decided to move out to Halifax. And one of my childhood friends from spring hockey, American by the name of Jimmy Sharrow, so happened to play for the Halifax Mooseheads. When I moved there, I'm looking at the roster, and I'm just like, that name sounds familiar. I probably hadn't talked to the guy in I don't know how long, but I remembered him because we were such great friends and had such great experiences with our spring team. And I reached out to him, and he got me out for like a shinny game with Brad Marchand and Sidney Crosby and a young Nathan McKinnon, and had the head coach come out and watch me and the general manager. They liked me. And obviously, being a high pick in the Ontario Hockey League, nobody had known about me, so they were pretty happy that I landed on their lap and not, say, Cape Breton or, Moncton. I could have went anywhere, quite frankly, and I had that opportunity to play for such a storied franchise with a lot of great hockey players. And then, the Mem Cup, my first year in Halifax, I played there for two. My first year in Halifax, we were a pretty strong team, but unfortunately we ran into a kid by the name of Sidney Crosby. And we had aspirations. The Memorial Cup, which coincidentally is on right now, was in the Ontario Hockey League. So it was the year after I had just left the Ontario Hockey League, and now I'm in the Quebec Junior Hockey League. Nobody knows where Rane Carnegie went or what's going on. And I had an opportunity, so I thought to come back to the Ontario Hockey League as the Quebec champion. And then we ran into Rimouski and Sidney Crosby, Danny Roussin, and Mario Scalzo Jr. and Patrick Colombe and Marc-Antoine Pouliot. I mean, if you got a penalty, it was a guaranteed goal again. So, and it was, we got swept 4 games straight. And it wasn't Crosby. I mean, I think he still had 2 points a game, but he was accustomed to getting 5 or 6 or whatever ridiculous godly numbers it was. But their second and third line really pulled up their boots and gave us everything that we could handle, and went on and played that formidable Mem Cup winning team with the London Knights with Corey Perry and Adam Dennis and all those guys. So my junior hockey career ebbs and flows. My last 2 years in Halifax, a real highlight for me in my junior career. I was really fortunate to have that opportunity to be a part of that leadership group over there and to have some success in Halifax. And the Vaughn family that brought me to Belleville and gave me that opportunity, and the Crawford family with Floyd Crawford as the head of scouting, who was a longtime advocate of my grandfather, which is probably why I got drafted in the first round to Belleville. They treated me with a lot of respect and love, and I never should have asked to be traded. So I loved it in Belleville. I got treated well in Belleville, and Halifax was absolutely everything that you could ever imagine. If you want to be a junior hockey player, you want to play in a town like Halifax with all the band and the support that you got from management and the community. It was unbelievable. So that was my junior hockey career in a nutshell.
Well, I want to touch on a couple things because I think a really familiar tune I'm hearing is the importance of perspective. Obviously, junior hockey players are young, teenagers. You made the note of the stat of you and Anthony Stewart, so we'll touch on that first. Do you look back on that with new lenses now, thinking that what we basically made history together, or was it something you realized at the time as well?
I didn't realize it until recently when somebody brought it to my attention, maybe a year ago or something to that effect. And it's something that I'm forever proud of. It's hard to. It has been challenging to penetrate as a BIPOC athlete in the sport of hockey. There's lots of stories that have been shared throughout the last few years, especially with this, social justice movement that we're in right now to try to, make this world a better place. So now in the role of mentor and coach that I have now, and I have, started a mentorship company called Own Hockey. Own is an acronym for Our Way Now, Together We Can Accomplish Anything. And to see the next wave of young boys and girls and other that are looking to enjoy this game that I've loved since I first was introduced to it by my grandfather. So the history that we made, Anthony and I, that was special, and it's something that should be celebrated. And hopefully in years to come, we'll have more stories like that, where we're getting multitude of, maybe we have South Asians that get drafted in the first round, and some Black and some Indigenous, and it's just a melting pot. And it's just like, okay, we have 4 Caucasians, four Indigenous, 4, and it's just, and that to me would be everything. That would be something pretty special, pretty cool.
Absolutely. And just keeping in tune with the perspective theme that we have going here. You mentioned a couple of things, like you're looking back and you made the note of I shouldn't have asked to be traded, and just jokes that we look back on that we all have through our lives. When we gain a little bit of perspective and maybe some more wisdom, we have a different take. So looking back on your junior career, and even for teenagers moving up in the game now, how important it is to maybe take a step back and take some advice from those around us, maybe.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I say to the families and the athletes that I work with now is, I wish I had somebody like me in my life back when I was your kid's age. Somebody that could really relate to me, get through to me. And not to say that there weren't a lot of people that tried and did help me along my path. But there were times when I should have stayed right where I went left. And sometimes you feel like one mistake catapults into another mistake and another mistake and another mistake, and you never wanted to make the first mistake, and here you are and you're so far down the rabbit hole, and you're like, well, now I can't tell anybody, because not only is it this, but it's this and it's this and it's this now, and it's just like you feel isolated and alone, and you manifest all these negative things. And what I've come to realize in going through my reflection of and the perspective and thinking back and looking back, it all starts with you. So a lot of things that I did when I was younger, I did because I thought everybody else wanted me to do those things, or wanted me to say whatever this was. And what I've come to realize is you have to get to know who you are. You have to understand what makes you feel good, what provides you with what I found now recently through the mentorship and coaching is purpose. I was working downtown Toronto for close to a decade on the financial sector, and had a really comfortable life, making good money, supporting my family. But I felt like it was the same monotonous over and over. Keep up with the Joneses, rat race, get into it, and just mind numbing, pick up the phone, call, solicit, sell, whatever the case may be. And I don't make anywhere close to the amount of money I used to make, but I've never been happier because I found my purpose. So I think that, looking back, what would I tell a young Rane Carnegie is cut out the games, stop pretending to be something that you're not, and be who you are and own it. And don't be afraid to show your authentic self, because I don't know who Stephanie is. Hearing about Stephanie from everybody else, Stephanie knows who Stephanie is better than anybody else. So why wouldn't I want to get to know Stephanie? Why wouldn't I just ask you? If I want people to know who I am, why don't I just tell them? Instead of them hearing versions and perspectives from other people, I'll just tell you exactly. It's just like that Eminem 8 Mile, I know something, tell me something that I don't know, and like I know something, but like, yes, I am this, yes, I am that. But here you're hearing it from me instead of whatever connotation that is coming from the masses. So I just think that owning your story, owning your perspective, speaking your truth is such an important asset to have, to bring to your life. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, is just to let everybody know, hey, you don't have to be the mistakes you don't have to be the mistakes you continuously make over and over and over again. Eventually you do the lessons that you've learned from those mistakes that you made over and over again. So why can't today be your day one? Like, learn today that you don't want to make the same mistake that you made 5 seconds ago, 5 days ago, 5 months ago. Like, today can be your day one, and you never make that mistake again. And then you can just keep on building on that trajectory, and you'll be just fine.
Exactly. And it's so interesting that you're talking a lot about knowing who you are and listening to the person rather than what others say a person is. So I find that really interesting, because I don't know if you know this, you might, but if you Google yourself, your description on Wikipedia, because we should all listen to Wikipedia because it's all true, actually says you were a star junior hockey player, the grandson of late Herb Carnegie, and an addict. So before we touch on your grandfather, because that's also an amazing part of your story, let's talk about that last part. Does it bother you that you're described by other people so publicly as an addict?
I mean, no, maybe it used to. I can't control what other people say or do or think. I have absolutely made a billion mistakes in my life. Things that, have helped me be the man that I am now, and given me an opportunity to help other people who were on the right track, who took a left when they should have stayed right. So, my experiences with, my addiction was with cocaine. I speak about it often to whoever wants to learn, because it's so quick to sneak up on you. And through junior hockey, it was around sometimes, not as prevalent as it was in pro. Prevalent, I should say, prevalent as it was in pro. And all through junior, I was a guy. No, cigarettes? No. Like cocaine? No. But then you get to pro, and it's all around, and everyone's doing it, and you're just like, I thought it wasn't good for you. I thought it was, and it's just like, well, everybody else is doing it, and they're having a good time, and you have that moment of weakness where you just want to fit in, or you want to have fun like everybody else is having fun. So the fear of missing out, and then you try it once, and you realize, oh shit, it's not that bad. So you think like when you're just you've never done it before, so you haven't done the research on it. You just heard, cocaine is one hell of a drug, and you've heard, people have bad experiences on it, but then you see all these movies and all these songs, and it glorifies that lifestyle, and you're just like, and then you're seeing that lifestyle, and you're just like, I want to have fun. So then you try it, and then before you know it, and literally it's before you know it, you're spiraling out of control. And you can be, there's such thing as, functioning alcoholics. Same thing with cocaine or any substance of choice. You can hide who you are from the public if that's what you choose, and if the public doesn't want to see what's going on. Well, so I was able to, because I was having success in the financial industry and I was taking care of my responsibilities. A lot of people that would try to help, I wasn't really to listen to, because I would be like, who are you? Like, I'm like, my kids are happy, so I think my house is paid for. Like my responsibility is to, like, mind your business. This is my life. Live your life. And then, poof, like that. What was once a fun ride up is a disaster down. And it happens like that. You could be on the roller coaster of your life. You're just thinking like you're invincible. Yeah, nothing's gonna stop you. Nothing's gonna stop you. Nothing's gonna stop you. And you have all the people that are just like, hey, you're getting to that cliff, and you're just like, what cliff? It's nothing but smooth sailing. And you're like, no, there's a cliff. Like it's coming and it's coming, and you're oblivious to it, because that's what the drugs do. They're just like, they make you feel like you're untouchable. And then, but it also makes you not pay attention to your finances. It makes you not pay attention to your other responsibilities as a husband, as a father, as a friend, as a brother, as a son, as a nephew, as a cousin. And you're just like, whoa. So now been over 3.5 years, no alcohol, no cocaine. And I've never been happier. And I share my story with everybody, because people are just like, what? Like, you're spending $1,000 a week on cocaine? Yeah, I was. And I'll never, ever touch it again. And I always say this, I'm like, people are always like, once an addict, always an addict. What do they say to the person that really stops? Like, why do you have a small portion of your life? For me, it was 3 horrific years, but I'm 37 years old. So there's 34 years where I wasn't an addict. So you take one little fraction of your life, and people portray it to be who you are. And they don't give you the opportunity to see who you've become. So one of the things that, I preach to everybody is, don't be afraid of being vulnerable. There's strength in your owning your vulnerabilities. Our mantra is own your secrets, own your life, own aces. That's our mantra. Like, just put it out there, whether it's an addiction, whether it is, you're having problems with your spouse, you're having problems at school, whatever it is, we are here to help each other. Like, this is humanity. So nobody should have to suffer in silence. And nobody should feel like embarrassed or ashamed of having challenges. This world wasn't built without adversity and challenges. So with that comes growth. So out of dirt comes a flower. So let's make this world a beautiful place.
Well, and it's interesting you said there's strength in owning your story. So do you think being so open with all of the chapters of your journey so far has been almost therapeutic for you in a way to help you move forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely it has been, because I've seen the response that it's afforded me. I've seen relationships that I thought were lost be mended. I've seen, I've seen people change the way that they live because I'm inspirational to them. And so is my wife, who also was, an alcoholic, so we have a story as a family that we love sharing, because we've never been happier, truthfully. and we want this world to be a better place. And the only way to make this world a better place is to stand in the sun, take a little heat if you need to, so that other people can come and join the party, to show you that really it's all in your head. It really is all in your head. And the people that love you and care for you, they'll be there. They'll be there. And the ones that are going to hold you back to who you were, they're not ready for who you are. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mad at anybody for not being ready to accept me for the man that I've become and the man that I am. That said, get on the bus now so you'll be on the plane later, because we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? Just getting started, we want to jump into something very, very exciting. Yesterday, which was June 27th, the Hockey Hall of Fame announced finally something you've been working towards with you and your family, the induction of your grandfather, Herb Carnegie. So
Yeah.
let's talk about that. Let's we'll back it up because it's been a long road. So let's talk about the road to get here first.
The road to get here started long before, I joined the front. It goes back to the lost opportunity that my grandfather was denied to play in the NHL at the highest level with his peers that he competed against in the Quebec Senior League and other senior leagues throughout Ontario at the time. And it's just so important for the BIPOC community, for my son, for myself, for any kid that feels like they don't have a chance. For anybody that feels like, man, what else do I got to do to get recognition? Like, it's never gonna, like this speaks volumes to what I have always said from the beginning when I created the petition to get my grandfather included in the Hall of Fame 2 years ago, around this time, actually, believe it or not. And again, it garnered over 10,000 signatures. It's everything. It's everything he wanted. He just wanted fair play for all. He wanted fair opportunity for all. He wanted to be recognized based on his abilities, for his contributions, just like we all do. To be told, good job, young man. Good job, young woman. Like, what we all want as humans is to be recognized for our contributions. And for so long, that didn't seem like it could be a reality. Mm-hmm. And we're so thankful. I'm immensely so thankful. I know my Aunt Bernice, who has been his co-pilot, my grandfather's co-pilot for decades. This is extremely special and important to our family and our hockey family all over the world. I think that this is a great day for the sport of hockey. And it gives us some sense of relief. It gives us some hope for the future. And it's just fantastic, Stephanie. It really is. I can't even put it into words.
Well, I'm going to ask you, can you tell us who got the call, how when you found out, the feelings there?
So I was getting ready to join a conference call for the Carnegie Initiative with our board at 3:30 yesterday. And I'm running around. It's my first time going to be on the Zoom call, so I'm nervous. I'm shaving myself. Do I wear this shirt? Do I not wear that shirt? Hat? No hat? And they're going to laugh when they see this video, because I actually was nervous. And I saw on TV that the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony or naming on TSN, like they were going to unveil who had been selected. And it was kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Like, I saw it there, but I didn't even think to like put it on just in case they were going to say my grandfather. So as I'm running around thinking about the conference, I'm not even thinking about the selection. So I figure out my shirt. I'm like, okay, this is the shirt. Run over, got my phone, look at my phone, and I have a text message. Going to need to get a new suit. Congratulations. Your family must be so proud, from a friend of mine. And there's a screenshot from a Sportsnet article naming the inductees, and builder category, Herb Carnegie, and he circled it. And I was like, huh? What's going on? My heart's like, my wife's gone, my kids are at school, my heart's like beating out of my chest. And I'm like, I'm supposed to get on this conference call at 3:30. I'm like, I'm calling my aunt, she's not answering. I'm like, what's going on? I try to look online, can't find it anywhere online. So I'm like, where did my friend find this information? I turn on TSN. They're talking about the Sedin twins and Malongo and the players and Alfredson. And I'm like, I still can't find it. I'm still trying to call my aunt to be like, what's going on? Finally, I get a hold of my aunt, and she goes, is it true? To me? And I'm like, you tell me if it's true or not. Like, did they call you? Did they call me? They didn't call any of us. She found out from a friend of hers. I found out from a friend of mine. And then while we're on the phone and about to get into the Zoom is when my aunt got the phone call from Lanny McDonald and Mike Gardner. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was something that I was happy to be a part of and to witness and to see. And I know that it was important to my aunt to receive that phone call. So we're just so thrilled. We're just so thrilled.
Well, and a lot has come from, the whole initiative and the goal to get to the Hockey Hall of Fame, but there's a much bigger picture. Obviously, there's the Carnegie Initiative, which there's so many people involved. There's lots of work going into the whole initiative. So for those who don't know, what is the Carnegie Initiative?
The Carnegie Initiative is a nonprofit that was started by my aunt Bernice Carnegie, and co-founded by Bryant McBride, who was one of the first, I believe, BIPOC hires of the National Hockey League way back in the day, and actually started the diversity task force for the NHL. And it's a coalition of like-minded individuals and partners of ours that want to make the game more diverse, more inclusive, more opportunistic, and really have some educational resources to really study the progress in those endeavors to make the game as best as we can as a community. So the Carnegie Initiative is doing important work, studies, case studies. We have our conference coming up in Toronto, January 20th through the 23rd. Which is going to bring, a representation from all walks of life. But it's just to bring a lens to the diversity in the game of hockey, essentially, and to make sure that actionable and meaningful steps are taken to make the game prosper.
Well, and you mentioned the conference is coming up, which is massive. It's in Toronto. That's very exciting. But what is the big picture goal? So we got the Hockey Hall of Fame, super exciting. Lots of work being done, but if you could sum up what the big picture goal of the Carnegie Initiative is, what is it?
To make the game more inclusive and acceptable, and to make the game the best that it can be, and to take hate out of the great game of hockey, and to make it inclusive to everybody.
Well, we can't disagree with that goal. It's something that we're all trying to accomplish. We're certainly super excited with everything that's going on and everything to come. There's so much more ahead. Like we've touched on so many times, we're just getting started with every chapter that comes. So we're super excited to have you on today. I've certainly enjoyed our conversation. We're glad to have you in our league as a coach still. So definitely making progress and some improvements there as well behind the bench with your voice. So thank you so much for joining us today, Rane.
Thank you so much for having me, Stephanie.
And congratulations to you and the family. One more time, Hockey Hall of Fame. Big applause. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the GTHL Breakout Podcast. We are thrilled to bring you this episode and many more to come.